The Achaemenid Empire was the largest and greatest empire in the history of Iran. When we talk about who was the most famous king of this empire, we usually think of Xerxes I, thanks to the pop culture and the media that always depict Xerxes as the famous Persian king who had a fetish of invading and conquering the ancient Greece. And when they are representing him, they usually don't exactly make him appear as he was actually. They usually give him an special appearance in their media, thanks to these two guys. Because whenever a society, which was in the ancient Rome, invaded ancient Greece, they are the evil barbarian civilization destroyers.
Huh?
Anyway, Xerxes I, also known as Xerxes the Great, was born in 518 BC. His parents were Darius the Great and Atusa. Xerxes was their eldest child. Xerxes had 4 younger siblings: Hystaspes, Masistes, Achaemenes, and Mandane. Although Xerxes was the eldest child of Darius and Atusa, he was not the firstborn of Darius. Darius had 3 older sons from his first wife: Artabazanes, Artabignes, and Arsamenes. Artabazanes was Darius's firstborn. Therefore, he wanted to become the successor. But Darius made Xerxes his heir because Xerxes was born when Darius became king. Besides, Xerxes was the grandson of Cyrus the Great, thanks to his mother Atusa. Xerxes became king in 486 BC, after his father Darius I died. Before Darius died, he had some beef with the Greek city-state since 499 BC. Darius succeeded to make some of the Greek city-states a part of the Achaemenid Empire, but some of the other Greek city-states did not join the Achaemenid Empire. For example, Athens. The Athenians even triggered and supported the Ionian Greeks of Anatolia to revolt against the Achaemenid rule. Darius succeeded to crush the rebellions and secure the Anatolian region of his empire. But he wanted to punish the Athenians for interfering in the Achaemenid policy. Thus, he invaded Athens in the Battle of Marathon in 490 BC, but his army lost the battle. Darius planned a new campaign, but this time leading the army himself. But he passed away and did not get the chance. After Darius died, his son Xerxes became king. However, he did not invade Greece because he had some other things to do. When Xerxes became king, the satrap of Egypt began revolting against the Achaemenid rule. He first had to crush the rebellions of Egypt, supported by the Greeks. Yeah, I know, the Greeks had some hobby and fun to support the regions of the Achaemenid Empire to revolt against the empire, I know. Because, as they said, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Xerxes succeeded to put down the riots in Egypt, and he chose his younger brother Achaemenes as the new satrap of Egypt. For those who don't know, a satrapy basically means a province, and the satrap means the governor of the province. After putting down the rebellions in Egypt, Xerxes had to crush the rebellions in Babylon as well, because the Babylonians were also revolting against the Achaemenid rule. Xerxes succeeded to put down the riots in Babylon as well. However, 2 years later, the Babylonians revolted against the Achaemenid Empire one more time, and Xerxes succeeded to put down the riots once again. But this time, he had some of the temples destroyed. And he also took the statue of Marduk, the great god of Babylon, and he brought it in Ecbatana. He also destroyed and melted down the statue. This was very disrespectful towards the Babylonians. It is important to know that these stories come from Herodotus. You know, the father of Trust Me Bro.
Bruh.
After securing all the lands of his empire, Xerxes planned an invasion of Greece in order to avenge his father and finish what he couldn't do. However, His uncle, Artabanus, advised him that this is not a very wise thing to do, because the first Achaemenid invasion of ancient Greece failed. Xerxes was angry about this, because he desperately wanted to make the Athenians pay for what they did. After that day, in the night, Xerxes had a nightmare of a gigantic man being angry at him and telling him, Xerxes woke up from his nightmare, terrified and scared and confused. He told his people that he changed his mind and he's not gonna invade Greece. Later that night, he still had another nightmare of the gigantic man and telling him, Again, Xerxes woke up, scared and terrified, asked his uncle for advice, and uncle said, It's okay, Xerxes baby, it was just a stupid nightmare. And then that night, Artabanus also had a nightmare of the gigantic man, or some ghost. I don't know what the hell was that creature. The gigantic man was also angry at Artabanus, and then Artabanus also said, You know what, bro? This gigantic man is a little too scary, so yeah, why the hell not invade Greece? This story comes from Herodotus, the inventor of Trust Me, Bro. Like, I don't really understand, man. Why did everyone, according to Herodotus, why all of the ancient Iranian kings were always having nightmares or dreams about the future? Like, why were they always sleeping? What was the fetish of Herodotus with sleeping and having dreams? Was his favorite film Inception? Anyway, Xerxes finally made up his mind and decided to invade Greece. He spent a few years gathering a great army for his invasion. The infantry unit of his army mostly included the Persians and the Medes, and also some of the other people in his empire. The cavalry unit of his army mostly included the Scythians, the nomadic Iranian people with their famous long hats. Xerxes also brought his own personal bodyguards known as the Immortals. The Immortals were the most elite warriors of the Achaemenid Empire. The number of their troops were 10,000 warriors. Oh my god! Fun fact, the Immortals was not their actual name. It was the name the Greeks used to call them, as Herodotus called them the Persian Immortals in his writings. We do not know what was the actual Iranian name of this force. The reason why they were called the Immortals was because whenever one of their troops got sick, injured, or even slayed in battle, they would be immediately replaced by a new one, so that the number of their troops will always be remained 10,000. There are also some rumors that they covered their faces with masks. We do not know exactly if it is true or not, but some of the portraits of these soldiers portrays them wearing masks. Therefore, this delusion was made for their enemies that these guys were immortal. Thus, they were called the Immortals.
Immortals. We'll put their name to the test.
What do you mean you'll put their name to the test? That is not their actual Iranian name. That is the name you Greeks used to call them. So what do you mean by saying that? There are some controversy about the number of Xerxes' troops. Herodotus claimed,
Oh shit, here we go again.
Herodotus claimed that the number of the Achaemenid army under the reign of Xerxes was about 5 million people.
What?
Now, you know, that's totally inaccurate. Because how the hell could he even feed those soldiers? Anyway, the second Achaemenid invasion of ancient Greece started in 480 BC. Xerxes gathered his army to Anatolia to begin his invasion both from the lands and the sea. He tried to enter his army to Europe by passing through the Dardanelles by building them a huge bridge. However, the bridge was fragile and weak, and it got destroyed in a storm. Herodotus claimed that Xerxes was so angry about this that he ordered the engineers to get executed. He also ordered his soldiers to whip the sea in order to make the sea obey the will of the great Persian king Xerxes I. Well, now, that's again the trust me bro thing of the Herodotus, The Greeks, on the other hand, tried to stop their civil wars and conflicts and unite with each other in order to stand against the Achaemenid army. The first battle of this invasion was the Battle of Thermopylae, the Greek army led by Leonidas I. The Battle of Thermopylae was the most famous battle of this invasion, thanks to the pop culture and the media. The Western media portrays this battle as how the brave 300 Spartan soldiers defended Western civilization against the soulless, barbarian, savage Eastern hordes. Well, actually, the number of troops under Leonidas' command in this battle was not 300. Well, it's true that Leonidas had 300 Spartan soldiers in his army, but he had other soldiers from other Greek city-states as well, which included the number of 7,000 troops.
Oh my God!
The pop culture is always like the civilized Greeks and the barbaric Iranians.
What the hell?
Well, the ancient Iran was also a civilized nation. In fact, the Iranian civilization is much older than the Greek civilization. Also, Xerxes did not view himself as a god. In fact, he was a religious man.
Oh my God!
He believed in Ahura Mazda, the only one god in Zoroastrianism. The Achaemenids won the Battle of Thermopylae. The Greeks lost this battle, and even Leonidas himself got killed. Meanwhile, on the sea, the Achaemenid navy, led by Artemisia I of Caria, succeeded to beat the Greeks at the Battle of Artemisium. Fun fact, Artemisia was actually a Greek woman, but she was on the side of the Achaemenids. In fact, there were many Greek soldiers in the Achaemenid army, because half of the ancient Greece was already conquered by Xerxes' father, Darius the Great. The Ionians, some of the Greek islands, and the kingdom of Macedonia. But the rest of the ancient Greeks was not conquered by the Achaemenids and tried to defend themselves against their army. After emerging victorious at the Battle of Thermopylae and Artemisium, the Achaemenids entered the region of Attica, which the city of Athens was located. After the Achaemenids entered Athens, no one was there, because everyone ran away and evacuated the city. Xerxes ordered to burn down Acropolis for avenging the destruction of Sard. After conquering Athens, the Achaemenid Empire was at its maximum expansion. But Xerxes wanted all of Greece. Thus, he gathered his army to march to the island of Salamis. Now, this is the part where things got turned over, because this time it was the Greeks who emerged victorious. The Achaemenid army lost the Battle of Salamis. Xerxes was watching this battle from above on a mountain, and he was shocked about the conclusion. But he was also simping to Artemisia, because she was showing so many bravery and greatness in the battle, fighting like a true warrior.
Oh my God!
Xerxes treated Artemisia so nice in his reign. In fact, he was actually in love with her and had a secret crush on her. He loved and seemed to Artemisia so much that he eventually proposed to her and wanted her to become one of his wives.
Hey, you like Greek men?
Yeah.
Fetatsis.
Yeah.
Greek god.
Yeah.
Poseidon.
But Artemisia rejected his offer.
No.
Please, please don't say that.
After losing the Battle of Salamis, Mardonius advised him to go back to the capital with the most of the army, because it would be better for the king. Mardonius also promised Xerxes that he will conquer the rest of the Greece with the remaining Achaemenid army. and Xerxes agreed. But things did not turn out as planned, because Mardonius lost against the Greeks at the Battle of Plataea and Mycale. And even Mardonius himself lost his life at the Battle of Plataea. After the Greeks gained victory over and over, the second Achaemenid invasion of Greece failed. After failing in his invasion, Xerxes decided to focus on governing his own lands. He began building some palaces in Persepolis. For example, the Gate of All Nations and the Hadish Palace. He also created many stone inscriptions, like the stone inscription of the Gate of All Nations, the stone inscription in the Hamadan province in Iran, and also the stone inscription in the city of Van in the country of Turkey. These stone inscriptions are basically about that Ahura Mazda is a great god and Xerxes I was a great king. Xerxes married Amesteris, who was the cousin of his mother Atossa. They had 5 children. Their firstborn was Darius. No, not that Darius, the father of Xerxes, Darius I. No, this is a different Darius. Xerxes got assassinated in 465 BC by one of his generals named Artabanus. No, not that Artabanus, the uncle of Xerxes. No, this is a different Artabanus. Artabanus assassinated Xerxes with the help of a eunuch named Aspamiteres. After assassinating Xerxes, Artabanus slandered his son Darius that he was the one who murdered the king. Thus, he also succeeded to kill the heir, Darius. Artabanus supported the first son of Xerxes, Artaxerxes I, to make him his puppet ruler, and then later also kill him and get rid of him. But Artaxerxes found out about the truth. He executed Artabanus, Aspamiteres, and also all of the sons of Artabanus. He also killed his older brother Hystaspes in order to make sure he won't try to take the throne from him. Xerxes I got buried in the Nakhshe Rostam, and that was the life of Xerxes I.
Wait, are you Greek?
Kalamata Olive.
Dude, that Xerxes is the Xerxes from Meet the Spartans. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Most of you guys who watch my videos are not subscribed. So come on guys, subscribe.
من خود خدا گوشت با منه یا نه؟ اما خدا کیه؟ خیر برکت، دوستی، شفاعت، رفاقت، صداقت، صمیمیت